Hello, and welcome to the Beginner's Guide to Genshin Impact. My name is Azwark, and today is our fourth video in the chain of giving you a quick and often incomplete rundown of what a character can do. I want to emphasize, since I had a comment on two of my previous videos, that I am basing these opinions on my own views and on what I feel is best for a player somewhere before AR 45. Today we're addressing the standard banner 5 stars, which is a topic I ought to be careful with because although we're a long way off from next year's anniversary, players will be able to select a new 5-star every time September rolls around, as I was able to do for the account you see me primarily playing for the B-roll footage. There are currently 7 characters on the standard banner, although miHoYo has teased that there may be more added in the near future. So I'm going to approach today's video as though it were 2 months ago, you just started Genshin for the first time, and you're preparing to pick out your free 5-star for the anniversary. Who would you want? And who are you happy to see if you lose the 50-50 or pull orange on the standard banner? But before we begin, I have an omission to catch up on. Yesterday's video should have contained Kujou Sara, who is a 4-star, but her favorite number is 5. Sara is a dedicated electro and attack buffing support who is incredibly clunky to use without at least 2 constellations. Her skill summons a feather, which anyone can pick up for a very short attack boost, but nearly the only character who can truly capitalize off her mechanics is the Raiden Shogun herself. With C2, Sara is just still very tricky to learn, but can be used with other electro carries like Clarande. So with that out of the way, let's return to our regularly scheduled standard banner. From the original lineup, my favorite character to land would be Jean. Jean is an animo healer with enough damage capability to function as a carry in the early parts of the game. She's the best support option, and considering you can only have 1 on-field character and 3 off-field, if I had my pick in a vacuum, Jean would be it. Her skill is on a short cooldown and does a strong punch of damage that can also push enemies off cliffs or into water, and her burst does immediate team-wide healing plus a little bit afterward too. One often overlooked aspect of Jean is that her normal attacks also heal the team, just cuz. If there is any knock against Jean, it's that other healers exist, and some of them might be preferable. Xian Yun does mostly everything Jean does and more, and there are non-animo healers who also might be better for the job. Still, this is the character I took for my free 5 at anniversary for the channel account, and I would do it again. The other healer on the banner is Qiqi. The literal only reason to pick Qiqi over Jean would be if you happen to like Qiqi. Unfortunately, Qiqi chose me over 7 times, so my main account has this zombie girl at C6, which isn't doing me a bit of good since I've never leveled her. The problem with Qiqi is that she's a healer, and by that I mean that's all she is. Every other character except maybe Barbara does something besides just heal, but not Qiqi. She heals an absurd amount, but the delivery of that healing is a little weird, and she has extreme energy issues. Plus, she isn't going to solve your cryo needs if you're hoping she'll take care of hydro mages or electro hammers. If you're looking for a really good healer that can only heal, Qiqi will have you covered, but she's not a character I would ever seek out. The other original character I would question the usefulness of is Mona. Mona's always been in a weird place where she's hydro and can be used for some powerful reactions, but her only real calling card besides bearing her skinny buns is her rather confusing burst. The short version is that she puts an enemy in a bubble like the slimes and abyss mages do, then whoever pops the bubble also deals an incredible amount of bonus damage, which once upon a time used to be how players would get the largest single attack damage numbers in the game. These days she's not really even good for that, and the rest of her design involved putting up a lame taunt and being able to dash across water, which is a fun novelty, but you can do both of those things at level 1. The final 2 characters from the original lineup are Diluc and Keqing, both damage dealers. Diluc deals more damage on his own and is great to have in the early game where Pyro is needed so frequently, but Keqing is debatably more fun since she attacks faster and has better teams once you can get some Dendro on your team. Either of these two is a perfectly valid option that you'd be happy to have on your account until you found the main damage dealer of your dreams. And I'd encourage you to use either Diluc or Keqing if you were fortunate enough to acquire them early on. If I must draw a distinction between them, Diluc uses a claymore and weaves normal attacks between the 3 consecutive uses of his skill to feel less slow than other claymores. His burst is a massive straight-ahead nuke that pushes enemies back, so they usually get hit more than once. He's very easy, direct, and enjoyable to play while you're learning the ropes. And as I said, he's good in Mondstadt and Liyue. Meanwhile, Keqing uses a sword and thrives on using charge attacks and fighting in aggravate teams. Her attacks are quick, snappy, and with a pretty cool-looking burst. However, neither of them are the best damage dealer on the standard banner. That honor goes to Tighnari, one of the 2 later additions from Sumeru. Tighnari might be more powerful, but his damage is also less accessible and scales much better with good equipment. As a charge attack bow user, Tighnari deals his element with aim shots, but they take a while to charge. He has an ability that lets him get 3 of those off in rapid succession before waiting a while. This means that while he's a main damage dealer, kinda, he also doesn't want much field time. Therefore, if you're using him, you almost want to have a second main damage dealer to trade off with. I'd still rather start my account with Diluc or Keqing personally. And the final character on the standard banner is Dehya. Okay, look, this one's a really complicated subject. Dehya's mechanics are not good, like at all. Whatever the developers were going for, it just flat out doesn't work. And when Dehya was first added to the game as a playable character, nobody was happy. She was a likable character in the Archon quest, and everyone had been looking forward to her. Then she got punted to the standard banner and was an unusable mess. But the funny thing is, over time, she started to become less bad. There are characters who legitimately want to be used with Dehya, or at least could be used with her, at endgame levels. And of course, this is all talking about how experienced players saw her. Dehya was a perfectly cool, flashy character that new accounts would be perfectly happy to play. So, if you happen to pull a Dehya, hey, go nuts punching people with fire. She's not good in an on-field role, but she will absorb some of the damage for her teammates, and can even be used as a burgeon trigger or to set up Vaporize for Mulanni. Based solely on her history, which had at one point cemented her as the most disappointing character in the game and also one of the worst in terms of her mechanics, I basically stay away from her. But for newer players, she's fine. You'll have to go on a bit of an expedition to get her Ascension materials, same for Tighnari, but Dehya's forced you to go even further. So keep that in mind too, but if you get a 5-star early on, I'd be hard-pressed to tell you not to use them unless you're uninterested, even if they're Qiqi. We'll hit the limited characters available in version 1 tomorrow, so thank you for watching, and I hope to see you in the next one.